Everyone doing today? Good. So good to see all of you guys. Whose first step forward day is today? Oh, actually a lot of you guys. Okay, so like they said, my name is Izzy. I'm a religion major here at Pepperdine, and I'm also a senior, which makes me thoroughly embarrassed and excited to say that this is also my first step forward day. So I'm right there with you guys. So I'm particularly honored and thankful, not only just to be here, but that the amazing community engagement and service team, which, can we give them a hand for setting up this whole event today? I'm honored that they just entrusted me to share a couple words about service. And so, as most of you guys know, Step Forward Day is about service. It's about stepping outside of ourselves, right, and giving our time and energy to the people around us. But I just want to acknowledge here at the beginning that sometimes service is hard. Sometimes it feels like just one more thing that you have to squeeze in to your already busy days. I think I first recognized this in high school, and maybe you guys did too. How many of you guys had to complete a certain amount of service hours to graduate high school? Yeah, how many hours did you guys have to complete? Shout it out. 40 hours? 150, wow. Okay, so at my school, we just had to do 40, but that still seemed like a lot at the time. And I completed all of them, right, because I graduated, but I'll tell you guys that I did it very begrudgingly. At the time, service very much felt like an obligation. And I can tell you guys that my heart posture wasn't grateful at the time, and I certainly wasn't expecting anything from the experience. And maybe you guys can relate to that. And consequently, every time I left the service project in high school, I always left unmoved. I left unchanged. And when I think about my time in high school and just my mindset going into service, I realized that two essential things were missing, which is what I want to talk about today, which is gratitude and expectation. And just over the course of my life since high school, I've realized that these two things are essential when it comes to our heart posture behind service. And it really does change everything. So I'll give you an example. This past summer, I was in Northern Virginia doing like the church internship of my dreams. And I don't know if you guys have ever had an experience where you were just so grateful or happy to be somewhere. Have you guys had that kind of experience? Yeah, you're just so grateful. And I'm like, every single morning I woke up, I was so thankful for everything around me. And I was also just expectant of everything God was gonna do, of the people that He would allow me to meet, of the experiences that I would have. And you know what my natural response and desire was that whole summer because of those two things, gratitude and expectation? I naturally wanted to give back. And so I found myself just wanting to help out at church more, taking out people, youth students for coffee, just wanting to get to know them, helping out at my host family, doing the chores. Even when I would walk outside to go on a walk, I would find myself wanting to wave at random people on the street and engage with them. Why? Because I was so grateful and expectant to be there. I'll give you another example. 2 years ago, I was studying abroad in DC. How many of you guys went abroad? Yeah, so I was abroad in DC working at this cool internship. It was a nonprofit fighting hunger worldwide, and I had this amazing boss. Her name was Abiola, a Nigerian woman who graduated from Harvard Law. Literally the smartest person I know. But what struck me the most about her was not actually her intelligence, but it was her heart of service. And so every single week, we'd get to have lunch together, and we would be sitting at the lunch table basically eating lunch, and every single time, without fail, she would portion half of her food to the side, ask for like a to-go box, and wrap it all nicely with utensils and everything. And then we would leave the restaurant, and every single time, every single week, she would deliver that packaged food that she had set aside to a homeless person on the street as we walked back to work. Every single week. And one day I just asked her, I was like, why do you do that? Like, what made you start doing that? And her response has never left me, because she replied and just said, how could I not? When I've been given so much, and when I know that this small meal might be able to feed someone in need today. And that response has never left me, because in that moment I saw the way that gratitude and expectation transformed her life to be a life of service, right? It wasn't just an action for her. It actually transformed her life. And so, I don't know, maybe some of us are coming in thinking that service is something nice to do in our free time, or as a way to feel like we're doing something meaningful. And those things are good. I'd say they're even great. But if I've learned anything about service, it's that it becomes a lifestyle when it flows from gratitude for what we've been given and expectation that beautiful things can happen. I think service is who we become when it comes from the overflow of these two things. And so today, as we step into our projects, my hope is that we don't just see this as community service, but really as an opportunity to practice gratitude and expectation in every interaction, right? Gratitude for the people we'll meet, and expectation for how we'll learn from each other. Oh my gosh. Gratitude for the people serving alongside us, and also expectation for how we'll grow together today. Gratitude for the organizations that we're going to be working with that are doing incredible work, and also expectation for the impact that can ripple far beyond today. I think when we serve with both gratitude and expectation, our eyes actually open wider. And I think you guys can agree with that too. Right? We begin finding joy in small conversations. We find meaning in ordinary tasks, connection in places that we never thought we'd find. I think we begin to notice things that we might otherwise miss. And I'll just end with this. When I was in Virginia doing that internship during the summer, something that I always noticed, ironically, was the clouds. And I know that there's no clouds here in California, but in Virginia, every single day I looked up and there were these beautiful white clouds. And they were just breathtaking. Every single day I would look up and I'd be like, man, it's just so beautiful. And I would tell people beside me who were working with me, I was like, are you guys not seeing the clouds? I mean, they're just beautiful. And they'd be like, have you never seen clouds in your life? Do you not have those back home when you're in Seattle, where you're from? And I was like, no, I've never seen clouds like this in my life. And then ironically, I come back from Virginia back to Seattle, and I'm on my drive home from the airport, and I look up, and guess what I saw? Like the clouds, the same clouds that I saw in Virginia. And I remember even nudging my sister. I was like, Olivia, have we always had clouds here? And she literally said, like, of course we have, you've never noticed? And that's what I realized, I just never noticed. But that doesn't mean it wasn't there. In fact, the clouds were always there, they were always beautiful. But in Virginia, because I was expectant and I was grateful, I saw beauty, not only in the clouds, but in everything around me. And I think it's a similar way with service. Service is all around us. Everywhere we look, there's opportunities to serve. And it's always meaningful, it's always empowering, it's always transformational. But sometimes we need gratitude and expectation to see it. I think when we do, service becomes more than just an action, it actually becomes who we are. And so I hope that we walk away from today knowing that Step Forward Day, it's a great event, but it's not just an event. It's actually an invitation to know that all the organizations that you guys serve with today are ones that you can go back to every single week. The community engagement and service team has done an incredible job of they're gonna create weekly opportunities to serve. But more than that, I also hope that today just plants a seed in us. A seed of gratitude that opens our eyes to all we've been given, and a seed of expectation that reminds us that service can always make a difference, no matter how small, both in the lives of those we serve and in us, who are constantly being transformed in the process. So as we all step forward today, I hope we can step forward with gratitude. I hope we step forward with expectation. And I hope both of those things carry us into a life of joy, of meaning, and of service that lasts far beyond just this day. Thank you.